Good evening and welcome to the Sports Hall in Rijeka for the European Championship of Men at 83 kilos. David Goldstrom together with Jeffrey Platt, member of the jury here for the European Weightlifting Federation, and a competition which we both are very much looking forward to, particularly because of the man at the bottom of that list there, Mark Costa of Germany, the Olympic silver medalist who's in tip-top form. He won that silver medal behind the fabulous Greek lifter Piros Dimas, who's not here, sadly. But Husta, we're told that if all goes well, might be having a crack at a world record before the evening is over. It's an interesting little field, and it includes, for us British fans, our first British finalist, that's Anthony Arthur. And he has a real chance, Jeffrey, I think, of doing quite well here.
Yes, we've already had a good opportunity today with Stephen Ward lifting very well in the B group, and Anthony Arthur looks as if he can do even better.
Well, here's the introduction of the athletes. This is the 25-year-old Austrian, Karl-Heinz Neubacher from Linz, his first major championship. Andre Kofalik, very useful man, got the bronze medal in the Olympics behind Husta. Tofik Haydarov, well, Tofik, the first Azerbaijan finalist of these championships. Then the Turk, and the Turks are in cracking form, 9 gold medals at these championships already, and Seving Dursan, he's the man to watch out for. There's the champion of last year, the European champion from Russia. He'll find it tougher to hold on to that title, I think, today. Daniel Bango, he was 6th in the Europeans a year ago, and a new Polish challenger, very inexperienced there. We'll see how he goes on. The Britain's Anthony Arthur, and crossing our fingers that he has a good competition. He was a very respectable 12th in the Olympics in Atlanta. Andre Kutlink, I should say, and there is the star of the show, arguably, the flamboyant Mark Husta. And that's the blackboard in the back room, and you can see at the bottom there, Mark Husta, 167.5, so we're going to have to wait a while till we see him get into action. But Anthony Arthur, 145, he's suggested that's going to be his starting weight for the snatch. Of course, there are 3 sets of medals available for the snatch, for the clean and jerk, and for the total. But as ever, Jeff, it's the total, the final positions that are most important.
Yes, that should be a good competition today.
Just to explain why Piros Dimas isn't here, he, like many of the Greeks, has taken a big long rest after it, and they're only really just getting back into gear, and they've had a disappointing European Championships, but it might be a lot different, a lot more different in China, in Thailand, in the Worlds at the end of the year. Now, the business at hand, Karl-Heinz Neubacher, to open the account, 135 kilos on the bar for the snatch.
Good lift there, excellent extension, well finished, good opener.
But he comes from Linz. He is an electrician in a bakery, actually. The problem for him is that he has to work to make his living, which means he's confined to 1 training session a day, and that puts him back compared with the full-time Germans, the full-time Greeks, and the full-time Turks, who 2, and in some cases, if you're Bulgarian, 3 sessions a day. But he'll be hoping for good things, as will his wife Heidi and his 4-year-old daughter Melanie, who are back home keeping an eye on this on Eurosports with our German colleagues providing the commentary for them. So he's not going to win a medal, but he's looking to lift, Jeff. He said to me today at breakfast, 145, which is 2.5 kilos more than his PB.
I think he's got it there. It looked to be a good, safe lift, and looks quite capable of another 2.5 kilos.
So now Andre Kutlink for Slovakia, 20-year-old soldier from Trenčín. Again, hasn't really made his mark in the senior ranks. Last year in the junior worlds, he was 10th at 76 kilos, so he's moved up a weight since last year, and he lifted 125 kilos in that competition. Now he's going for 137.5.
No lift there, he pulled it forward, tried to pull it back in line, but unfortunately didn't keep it there. He went over the back.
got the feeling he can do it, though.
Oh, the strength there is just a little bit of nerves. As he goes up in body weight, obviously the weight he's lifting is going to go up as well.
But he looks a man who's probably going to be more comfortable at this weight than he was at, 76 kilos when he was a junior.
Yes, I think as obviously they get older, they get bigger, they get stronger. You can see there, nice extension, but unfortunately he's lost it behind him.
But he's got 2 more attempts, and here is the warm-up room and where the poker game is played out.
There's Mark Costa warming up there. You can see him with his leg up there.
Comes from Dresden, that's where his home is, but actually represents the Chemnitz club, who've just for the 3rd time won the German team champion. And he's the subject of a transfer deal, we hear, from a rival club who are all but certain to host next year's European Championships, and they're thinking of trying to purchase Huster and purchase Andre Prochko, who lifted earlier today in the 76 kilo class. So here comes Kutlik, had a little wry smile as if to say, that was silly, I could have done this. Now, this time he wants to do it, otherwise he's going to put himself under unnecessary pressure. Also 7th in the Junior Europeans last year. Trained or coached by Milan Kovac, is in the wings to keep an eye on him. Not the prettiest, but he's done the job.
Yes, it was a good lift. Once again, it started to go away from him in front, but a little step forward, soon balanced that, and he was back in control. A little bit more extension of the hips there would have actually kept him in balance. Goes a little bit in front, but a step forward brings it back into control.
Prepare for the second attempt, number 1, Karl-Heinz Neubacher, Austria.
So, one moment of pressure out the way, but now another colourful character, the Czech Daniel Bango. Haven't seen too much of him. He did compete in the Europeans last year, finished 6th, and he lifted 145. He's coming in here at 140 kilos. That was an improvement, that 6th place finish. He was 11th in 1994. Well, very little wrong with that, Jeffrey.
Spot on, wasn't it? Perfect extension, well finished, perfectly under control. Looks very confident here today.
He does. He's really swaggering off the stage.
Second attempt on the platform, number 1.
I think he's asking why he couldn't take a little bit more. You can see the extension of the hips there. You can see him nicely in balance. Fraction of a step forward, but he's perfectly under control.
Arms nicely locked out, no question of any problem there. And Karl-Heinz Neubacher now to take his second attempt at 140 kilos. So he's being a little conservative, I would say, if he wants to get a PB, and he did say he wanted 145, so maybe he's going for 5 kilo increments. But he looks pretty serious to me about the job.
Yes, that was a good lift, but he did look as if he was having a little bit of struggle with it. He was having to work to get it, I think. You'll see there, shoulders over the bar, nice extension. Got it under control. Slight step forward, but he's working there to keep it. Down it comes.
Drugi pokušaj, 142,5 kilograma, Daniel Bango, Czeszka.
Prepare for the third attempt. Stop the clock.
Yes, he's got a decision now whether he goes for 142.5 or whether he goes for another 5 kilos. You'd sense 142.5 would be enough, but and not to push it. But on the other hand, he's not going to win a medal. He might decide it's worth going and having a crack at it. He's got a minute or so about that whilst Kutlik comes on. Bar is now up to 142.5 kilos. sports hall in Rijeka, high above this town on the Croatian Adriatic. The lifters, though, staying down the road, some 20 minutes away in the holiday resort of Opatija. It's been not a bad day, bit of sunshine, bit of rain. Well, that's well done, I'd say, Jeffrey.
That was a good lift. You can see how pleased he is with it. You notice that as he pulled it up there, he had to go very, very deep into the squat.
And it does show the improvement. 125 kilos lifted as a junior last year at 76 kilos, 142 and a half. So there's definite progress being made.
Yes, generally you would consider that he's put on 8 kilos of body weight, so he should put 8 kilos on his snatch.
So 142 and a half, respectable.
Yes, indeed.
Going the right way. Now, is Karl-Heinz Neubacher going to go the right way? He's staying conservative, Jeff. 142.5. He's not going for a PB. He's going to try and equal his personal best.
The last one looked hard. I think he needs to be sensible.
This man was 10th in the Junior Worlds back in 1992, but we haven't seen much of him since then. But I have to say to you, Jeffrey, having just seen that lift, why on earth didn't he try 145?
He picked it very well overhead, but I think he had to work for it.
145.
I mean, a much better lift than the second one at 140.
There's a lot more effort that went into it. You can see how pleased he is with it. He knows he had to work for it. He knows that it was worth working for.
Rutowski, Poland, and prepare number 8, Anthony.
So, good mix of countries here amongst our 10 finalists. There were 31 countries, 143 athletes here. A little down on Stavanger in Norway last year, but that, of course, had the added spice of being an Olympic qualifying tournament. Now, Marius Rutowski, again, another man who's got junior world credentials and junior European. He was 4th in the junior world at 76 kilos, so he was behind one or two other talents. But ahead of Kutlik last year, lifted 150 as a junior at 76 kilos, and he started at 145. What do you make of him?
I think this young man is an obvious talent. He's had to work last year just to keep up with the team. Now, obviously, after the Olympics, a number of people have retired. He's had an opportunity to find his own place in the team. He'll be looking towards Sydney in 2000.
Plenty of empty seats. The crowds haven't been fantastic. That's probably about the best audience we've had. And a bit disappointing that the folk from Rijeka haven't come up to enjoy this, because there's some real talent. And here's our man, Anthony Arthur. Hails originally from Manchester and finished very good 8th last year, but he missed the first 2 snatches. It was the 3rd one that he got on 145, so he's starting, in a sense, Jeffrey, from where he finished last year.
Yes, last year, of course, he was going through his final examinations. Now he's starting to take up full-time training, so we hope it's something off, Anthony.
Well, that's a disappointment. I'm sure he's got the power to do this.
Oh, he fixed it nicely overhead. A little bit more extension there. Unfortunately, he had to struggle with it, and it went behind.
Worth mentioning at this point, Britain's other lifter, Stephen Ward, who lifted earlier in the B group, recorded a total of 320. He actually snatched, checking here, snatched 145 kilos and jerked 175. And if one or two fail, he could move up the order into the A group. But that was a decent performance by the 22-year-old from Peterborough. But now on stage, this is Daniel Bango. Solid as a rock.
As you say, this man's got a good swagger to him. I think he's very disappointed. He looks frustrated that his coaches are not allowing him to take some more weight. Every time he comes off the stage, he addresses the coaches and asks for more weight. The form he's showing, you can't understand why they're not letting him take it. Nice extension there, fixes the bar.
Anthony Arthur back on stage. Had a rough decision to make when he came back from the Olympics, because virtually told by Bristol University, where he was studying chemistry, you either concentrate on your studies or you concentrate on the weightlifting, and it's the weightlifting that won. Much better. That's a lot more like it. So he's got the opportunity now to go a bit further. He had 147.5, Jeffrey, in the Olympics at Atlanta.
I think he's looking to go a little bit more. I think he'll probably try the 150. Plenty of strength there. Didn't quite finish the extension, so there's more power there. Finished the bar a little bit in front, but he controlled it. Never at risk.
And an important night for him, were he to finish in the top 6, which is a personal target, it would make a big difference to his life, because at that point he would get into the elite group and qualify for some more extra lottery cash support. More of that when we see him again. Now, Daniel Bango, 147.5. Now, if you're right, this man probably would have wanted to go to 150.
I think so.
I mean, he lifted 145 kilos last year when he finished 9th in the snatch division of the European Championships.
Yes, that was a good lift there. I think that it's always the coach's job to actually moderate it. You appreciate the lifters always want to take more than they're capable of, but on this occasion I think Fango had it right. I think he was capable of more.
Yes, an extra 2.5 kilos would have, I think, given him a lot of inner pleasure and just that little bit of extra hunger for going into the clean and jerk.
He's had 3 good lifts this evening. Let's hope he does the same in the clean and jerk.
Now, Mariusz Rutowski. This title won by Yuri Mishka of Russia, who's yet to lift. Quite a few to get into the fight yet. But it's warming up nicely. So 150 kilos. For his second
excellent extension there. You can see the strength is going into holding that bar there. Turns slightly this time, but that's no problem. The Poles have some of the best coaches in the world, and accordingly some of the best technicians. Perfect technique there. Just starts the turn, but has no problem in controlling it. Holds the bar just long enough for the referee to give him a down signal.
Now, important lift, 150 for Anthony Arthur. Fingers crossed here, because he needs this as a platform to get a good total.
Yeah, there's Mike Pearman, his coach. Mike, a former lifter himself, knows exactly what it's like to be in this position. He was in the 83 class himself.
I have to say, you just sensed a moment of self-disbelief there.
Yes, I think that's what we saw in the lift as well. He didn't finish it off. There was no extension.
And he finds himself on 145, which was the mark he had in the Europeans last year. So that's, I have to say, a disappointing start, particularly to be bested by the likes of Daniel Bango. He should have been at least on terms with him there. So he's got quite a bit of work to do in the clean and jerk.
Yes, he's in the competition with Stephen Ward. He's not to be forgotten.
Indeed, 320 kilos, and Stephen Ward successful at 145 kilos. Body weight of 82 kilos 30 for And Anthony weighing in at exactly 82 kilos, so he's got the edge in terms of body weight between the two Brits. And Stephen Ward sitting just a couple of rows behind us, eagerly watching this, and a little frustrated, Jeffrey, that he wasn't in tonight's lineup, because you always want to be centre stage, don't you?
That's right. All the lifters like to be in the A group. Unfortunately, Anthony Arthur got it today, and Stephen Ward didn't. So it would have been nice to have seen two British boys up there tonight.
British Championships, for those of you who'd like to go along, 5th and 6th of July down in Bristol at the Empire Club. Not too expensive, plenty of seats available. You'd be most welcome. Mr. Rutowski now with 155 on the bar for Poland. 152.5 might have been wider.
Yes, I think so tonight. It wasn't there, was it? It was just a matter of strength.
The interesting thing about this man, he is the lightest in the whole competition at 80 kilos, and that's 3 kilos below the level. So that's really, in one sense, an advantage. In another sense, it's a big disadvantage, the lack of power.
3 kilos body weight is a lot, and you'll find he's considerably less strong than the other competitors. He's going to have to put that weight on over the next year or so that next time he comes to the European Championships, he's able to do that.
Well, first finalist here from Azerbaijan, Tofig Haydarov. Tofig, who competed in the Olympic Games, finished a decent 11th place with a total of 330. But let me put that in context with you. For you, that was 52.5 kilos behind Mark Costa of silver medal. And what's he found in the last year?
Not very much by the looks of it.
160 kilos. Well, interesting, because he lifted 150 in Atlanta, so he's starting off 10 kilos up on what he achieved in America.
That first lift made you think that 150 might have been more appropriate. There was no pull, there was no extension, he was never in control of the weight.
Now, in case you haven't guessed, it's the Turkish representative who's come on stage. The choir are here once again, and this is Dursan Sevink. And Mark Costa certainly respects the chances of this man. He did finish 7th in the Olympic Games. He was the best part of, 20-odd kilos behind the German, but may well have improved. And the Turks have come here in terrific form. 160 on the bar. Little wrong with that.
Nothing at all. In fact, the Turkish choir made so much noise that he didn't even hear the down signal and waited until the referee told him a second time to put the bar down.
25 years of age from Ankara. He's an interesting character. Soon going to be a dad, I think, expecting their first child in a couple of months. But he's a man who really likes to train and rest. That's really most of his life. And now Tofig Haydarov. If he doesn't get this, he really has miscalculated. I'm not sure he's going to get a third lift.
He doesn't look like it. He looks as if he should have been starting at 150. That bar's far too heavy for him at the moment. And he's strong in the next 10 minutes.
He was 20th back in the World Championships in 1994 when he lifted 150. And as I said, in America last year, he lifted 150. So that on the face of it, and in the Europeans last year, when he actually finished 5th overall, he did lift 152.5. But we've never had any hint of this sort of progress from him.
No, not even this evening. That weight isn't moving anywhere near fast enough or high enough.
So, as you say, this might have been the point where either the coaches have pushed him too hard or they've failed to moderate his own ambitions.
Yes, I think so.
It's the secretariat table there where all the facts and figures are put together.
More and more computers there nowadays.
This sports hall, it's a basketball hall, so if you see the bar bounce up and down, our pictures, I have to tell you it's because the whole of this platform is fixed on top of a very springy floor. Well, I hate to say I was right, and you were as well, Jeff, but really the poor lad now can't get a total. He can't get a ranking position, and having finished 5th in the Europeans last year and 11th in the world, I think he's been compromised. Now that's slightly good news for Anthony Arthur and also Stephen Ward, because Stephen's got a total and Anthony will surely get one. And that should help both men's overall ranking, but a long way before that story is clear.
Here's one of the favourites for the medals.
Yes, weighing in today at 82 kilos 50, so that's heavier than Mark Huster, and Mark Huster got the silver. This man got the bronze. 372.5 in Atlanta, 10 kilos behind Huster overall, but that was last year. 162.5 on the bar for this very useful Polish 28-year-old.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Great strength evidence, great technique. Everything you'd expect from the Polish lifters.
170 was what he lifted in America. Incidentally, that was the same weight that Mark Huster achieved. And I think Mark Huster is looking for 175 tonight.
Prvi pokušaj 165 kg Yuri, Rusija.
So now the defending champion Yuri Mishka representing Russia, and a slightly controversial character because he was due to lift in the Olympic Games in Atlanta last year and didn't. Now no one's quite certain what the story was. I think I can leave it to your imagination, but he is back here now to take his chance, but I think he's got a hard job on here, Jeff, to retain this title.
It's not very often that the defending champion can worry about the opposition as much as he has to worry about Huster.
Huster, who missed the Europeans last year to focus on the Olympic Games. Very deep, but the drive up was effective enough.
Yes, a very good lift.
165 kilos, 167.5 last year in Norway to set himself on his way. He actually won the snatch there ahead of Dusan Semin, who, as you see this replay, is making his way on the stage to have a crack at 165 kilos. Worth mentioning also, Mishka is pretty light, 81.20. And that compares to last year when he weighed in Mishka at 82.95, so he's considerably lighter this year. Maybe he did a bit too much in the sauna. Buzzer indicating he's got just under 30 seconds. And maybe it just rushed that a bit.
Yes, that went badly wrong for him. He pulled it off to one side. His foot moved out to the side.
2 minutes for the...
Watch his right foot here. Extension's there, but I don't know if he slips or what, but he pulls it to one side. His foot moves out to the side, and he's lost it completely.
Well, he's got to sort that out with his coach, Omar Ozturk. Still really looking for the big success. Third in the European Championships in 95, third again in 1996. But the silver and the gold might elude him tonight with this man, and here marching around, striding. He really commands wherever he goes. He's very much an ambassador for the sport, both in Germany and around the world. And Frank Mantek wearing the Greek The green hat there. Every move. Costa, Olympic silver medalist, to open his account at 167.5 kilos. Exactly the weight he predicted on the start sheet. World champion back in 1994. Before, a lot more efficiently.
That wasn't the best way of doing it at all, was it? But he got it there. Nice extension there. Has to chase after the bar a little bit. You can see how much work he has to put into it. But he's happy.
Traditionally, the clean and jerk has been his stronger lift. But now, Dusan Seving, and Kofelik, I should say, who's got 162.5, is going up to 167.5, and Bodyweight here 82.50 for Kofelik, 82.30 for Costa, so that still gives Costa the edge, even if this good man makes this weight. Why didn't he do that the second time?
That's the easy way.
Yeah. Actually, I was getting confused with Seving there. Apologies for that. Accusing Kofelik of messing up his last lift. Of course, he didn't. So he's got two good lifts there, and he's matching weights at the moment with Mark Costa. But here is Dusan Seving. So 167.5. He's in a way keeping to his game plan. He missed at 165, but obviously feels confident enough that he can lift this sort of weight. And if he wants to keep in touch for the overall medals, the big ones, he's got to really do this, Jeffrey.
It's not a good idea if you fail the second attempt, but he's in a position where he's between a rock and a hard place. He's got to go up, keep in the competition.
A good example of guts and courage.
That was raw strength, that was. That majority decision, 2 white lights. Centre referee said no. His foot just flipped out to the side again. I don't know what's happening there. Most unusual.
We'll have a chance, perhaps difficult to see on that replay, about whether the arms were locked out or not. Looks okay from what I can see. What do you think, Jeffrey? You've been in this position down there, being asked the big question.
The arms look fine. I'm not quite sure why he would have got that one turned down, except that he's starting to turn, maybe. I'm not sure if he had it under control before the other 2 referees gave him a down signal.
Feet were steady.
Yeah.
That's history now. He's got it. Now here comes the forgotten man at the moment, Mishka, the defending champion, with 3/4 of a minute to prepare for 170 kilos. So this would be 2.5 more than he achieved last year on his way to the title. And Mishka 81 kilos 20, Mark Costa 82.30. So if the Russian's got the technique and the power, this could be a useful lift if he can pull this off. The Russians haven't really had any success here at these championships as yet. Was it too heavy?
I think it was on that occasion. He didn't look easy with his first one. That one really seemed to take a toll.
pushing back down to 165 at the moment.
You see his shoulders nicely over the bar there, plenty of extension, fixes the bar, but it's a very delicate balance there and it just loses behind.
So Mark Huster now on the stage at 170 kilos. Important lift because this really could set him on his way. Kofalik, remember, of Poland's got one more lift to go. Huster will have one more after that. Mishka has got one left.
He looks a happy chappy now. He has far more reason to be now. That was a far better lift than the first one.
Just to give you a comparison of what it means to get Olympic silver and Olympic gold, when Demos went home, the gold medal winner in Atlanta, he picked up $105,000, $150,000. This man just 7,500 Deutschmarks for his silver medal. So Kofalik now of Poland with 170 kilos. Again, Jeff, he's not worrying about the body weight, he's just worrying about keeping to his own game plan. Can't overtake Huster, but he can keep tabs with him.
No lift.
He would have done, but unfortunately that now leaves him 2.5 kilos behind and the heavier man, so that's a setback in a real sense.
He was looking very strong up to that point.
Doesn't quite get it there, does he?
No, it just falls a little bit short. Not quite enough extension.
So Mishka has got 170 to try and pull off. Now, if he does that, he would then go ahead of Mark Huster, who would then have the final lift of the snatch phase of tonight's competition. And this would also give him the silver because he'd be ahead of Kofalik. So it's a pretty important lift, this. He's never looked at these, so this will be a real achievement if he can do it. Come on, come on. Good boy. Unanimous 3 wide.
And he deserved it. It was a perfect lift, wasn't it? Everything went into that. He wouldn't have done it if it was half an ounce heavier, that's for sure.
And that shows you how the fortunes can swing backwards and forwards, because suddenly he goes from near oblivion into the lead.
You can see the concentration that went into it, the effort.
Well, that's what champions are made of. He's come here as not the favourite, not even the second favourite, arguably, and takes the lead. So Mark Huster now forced to put 172.5 kilos on the bar and has to lift this, because if he doesn't lift it, then Mishka will take the gold in the snatch. And equally important, will be on terms going into the second half.
That's right.
Well. Yeah.
The strength was there, wasn't it? But the technique wasn't. But as you said earlier, this is when champions show their mettle.
And suddenly, Mark Huster, the big ends up with the silver in the snatch, and Mishka, by virtue of his 170 and much lighter body weight, is a full kilo lower than Mark Costa. And Costa and Mantek, the game plan has gone awry. And he's going to have to go back into the corner. He can retrieve this, there's no question, with a clean and jerk. But that's not the way to go into half-time, the equivalent of going in a goal down.
I'm sure he's going to come back for the jerk, fired up and ready to go and win 2 more gold medals. But he's not going to be happy at having lost the first one for the snatch. So
now there's a little interval of just about 10 minutes for these lifters to compose themselves and get themselves ready for the 2-phase discipline, the clean and jerk. This lift here of Mishka sealing, securing and winning and retaining the European Championship in snatch. Confirmation on the screen there, not the result I would have predicted, I have to say. Gold to Russia, the silver to Husta. Poland's Kufelik has to settle for the bronze there, but you can see it's pretty close. And Turkey's Dursan Sevik, he's also got some work to do. That second miss, very costly, it really stopped his progress. And the Latvian, Delitis, coming up from the B group, contested earlier today with 147.5 kilos, taking advantage there for a very good 5th place final position. And further down, Daniel Bango, who we think could have tried a bit more, just ahead of Anthony Arthur, who's in 6th place, who will hope for better things. And Anthony, as you can see there, with Stephen Ward, equal on 145 kilos, and Anthony just getting the better of his teammate because of 0.3 of a kilo, his lighter body weight. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the snatch competition. Can this man retain his title? So far, so good for Yuri Mishka. Join us after these messages here on Eurosport to find out whether the good work he started in the snatch can be continued in the clean and jerk. Well, here in the back room, they're getting ready for the clean and jerk, but a few open mouths amongst the German fans after the first upset of the evening. Mark Huster not winning the European Championship snatch, and he's won the World Championship snatch before now. He did that in China, in Guangzhou in 1995, 175 kilos, and tonight he couldn't pick up 172.5, and just at the end of the day, 70 exactly the same weight as Atlanta, but they'll be hoping, the German fans, that he can make amends in the clean and jerk. Just a few words about our host venue here. If you've never been down to Croatia, or indeed to Opatija, the holiday resort that was pretty famous before the war, that divided and cost so many lives and destroyed so many families around here. Well, Croatia trying to get back to normal, and it really is a very nice holiday resort. They've got quite a lot of modernising to do, as you can imagine. The money ran out pretty quickly, although the actual war didn't really touch this part of Croatia. It's just about a 2-hour drive down from Venice. Along the coast, you go through Slovenia and then come through to Croatia, or it's about the same sort of drive from Ljubljana. Unfortunately, there's no main airport here, but it's right on the Adriatic coast. Very, very pleasant, and Rijeka is where they work here. It's the port. Everything happens around there, the industry, oil, petrochemicals, but also cruise boats, fishing boats. But when they go to play in Rijeka, they go down the road to Opatija. And that's where Jeffrey and myself have been staying, and it's been very pleasant, Jeffrey.
Very pleasant indeed. The weather's been excellent this week. We've had a little bit of rain, but apart from that, excellent.
Pretty nice, though, for the lifters as well. I mean, I have to say, Jeffrey, we sometimes end up into some grotty mid-European capitals, but this is quite nice for the lifters. They get a chance to be by the pool and relax.
Yes, I think they've had a good break.
So you can see the men trying to get things together. Not, of course, lifting any really serious weights at the moment.
No, this is the first part of the warm-up. To put it into perspective, this is the first year of an Olympic cycle. Everybody worked very hard for Atlanta. Most of them would have come back for a 2 or 3 month break. 1 or 2 are recovering from injuries. This is the first championship since then, 10 months ago. They'll be starting work about 6 months ago. They're just gently getting back into it. Many of them, as you've seen, have been young lifters who've gone up in body weight. Now they're starting to try out this new body weight and see what they can do with it.
So we're going to take another short pause to pay the rent. We'll be back in a flash. Well, just a reminder for you, live on Eurosport from Rijeka, Croatia for this 83 kilo category. This will be the last time in European Championship history that this medal will be awarded for 83 kilos, because of the 1st of January 1998, all of the weightlifting categories are revised. From 10 men's categories, they'll be reduced to 8 in preparation for the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games, when women will join the weightlifting championship for the Olympics for the first time. And this 83 kilo category, as of next year, will become 84 kilos. The lightest weight will move up from being 54 to 56. 59 will become 62. 69 will 69. Then 77 and 84 and so on. And the super heavyweight, which is today at plus 108 kilos, will be revised to 105, plus 105. Well, that, of course, is all next year, but a little piece of history. These categories were established after the 1992 Olympics for the Melbourne World Championships in 93, but these will be the last medals at 83 kilos. So whoever wins here will remain, probably forever, the 83 kilo champion of Europe. But who will it be? Well, to get us underway in the clean and jerk, this is the Austrian from Linz, Karl-Heinz Neubacher, coming in at 162.5. And again, a little bit more modest than he was at breakfast time. He was looking to go to 175. I think that's quite difficult to see him getting there on that, Jeff, starting at this level.
I wouldn't expect anything more than 5 kilo jumps.
Well, the lift successfully done, and now at least short of a total and a short of a ranking position. So that's one little sigh of relief.
I can see Stephen Ward behind us taking a keen interest. At the moment, Stephen's well ahead of Neubacher and in line for at least 9th place.
Za drugi pokušaj Austrijanca Karl-Heinz Neubachera.
You can see the hands are much more in line with the shoulders for the clean and jerk. Gets the clean reasonably enough, and then the chuck over the head.
2 minutes. The platform.
Well enough.
Yes, a good lift. Nicely carried out.
Confirmation at the end of the snatch. Anthony Arthur in 8th place, equal with Stephen Ward in weight, but Anthony the lighter man. Neubacher was behind Stephen Ward. He only lifted 142.
Stop the clock.
Zaustavite vrijeme.
167.5 kilograms for the number 1.
So Neubacher may have a minute and a half of time left, because he'll probably have to follow himself. Bit of a discussion, Jeffrey, this week here about reducing the number of finalists to really the competitive half dozen. What's your view on that?
I think there's a lot to be said for it. For a long time now, we've been having groups as big as 18 for the A group, but we've cut down now. You can see in this class this evening, we've got 10. There's no reason why we can't cut it down further to 5.
It'll certainly be faster, tighter, and remember, everybody will have a chance to compete earlier on, so they have the chance to do their best and indeed get a good ranking position to be centre stage on television, you've got to make the final.
That's all there is to it.
So just looking there at Mark Hooster, there must be a little concern. Now we're going to see Neubacher come in again, 167.5. So this 5 kilos doesn't worry me so much, Jeff. It's the next increment that could be the tough one.
It's unlikely to be more than 2.5 or even 5 kilos.
Well, I think he's got 5 kilos in his mind, which would again get him up to equal. In fact, his personal best is 170. So if he gets this, he really could have a crack at a new PB.
Yes, a good lift there. He looks to be well within himself. I think he's got another 2.5 or 5 in him.
Well, 5 would be a personal best.
Yes, so even that wouldn't trouble Stephen Ward. You'll see now, shoulders nicely in front of the bar, extends his hips, cleanly on the chest, holds the bar there as he drives out of that deep squat, settles himself there comfortably, and then punches the bar directly through his shoulders, straight out to arm's length. A quick recovery, he's standing there waiting for the referee to be satisfied.
Yes, we all want Stephen to do well, but equally we have good feelings for all these lifters, and this man is no exception. We want him to do his best, and I think if he feels that he really can do it, he should have a crack at another 5 kilos. He's got, at the moment, they've just put 170 up on the bar. I think that's a bit modest, and he's got really nothing to lose. Mark Hooster's got an awful lot to lose at the moment. He's not laughing and joking at all. And we've seen no exuberant leaps around the stage, which usually follow a great lift.
I think you'll find that the computer automatically gives him 2.5 kilos. He may not have elected that 2.5 kilos, Neubacher. Later on, he may well come out and vary that to 5 kilos.
Well, he's going for 172.5 now, so this is a new personal best. It's not what he was... oh, sorry, it's Anthony Arthur. My apologies. Sorry, Jeff. Anthony coming out 172.5, lifted 175 in Europe last year, 180 in the Olympics. Sitting there a long time on his shoulders. He's got it in the end. Well, I've got to tell you, it does worry me.
No, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. The lifters have to make sure there's no oscillation of the bar, because if there is, they'll be ruled out in the jerk, and he was just waiting for the bar to settle. You see there, he drives the bar up, extends nicely, comes very quickly out of that squat, which means that the bar's starting to oscillate and vibrate. He wants that to settle, because if he doesn't, he'll fail the jerk. Even if he gets it overhead, the referees will rule him out. Now it's settled, he drives it calmly and strongly to arm's length.
So, on his way. Well, there's a memento of last year's Europeans, if your Norwegian is up to it. That was nice. Seems like the European Championships are destined to stay by the sea. Last year we're the oil capital of Norway, and now here we are by the sea in Croatia. Now, this is Karl-Heinz Neubacher, and he's taking 172.5 for his third lift. So this really is for his personal best. Come on! Not to be.
No, I think he took far more out of himself with that clean than he realised. And then there was nothing left in the pot for the jerk.
175 kilograms on the Bango.
So, still a long way to go in this competition before the main men, Costa, Mishka, get underway. We're going to take a short break. You will miss nothing.
Paris, the season of romance, a stroll along the boulevard, a little relaxed conversation. Except in one corner, Roland Garros, where there'll be one heck of a racket for the second of the 4 Grand Slams. Last year, it was Kafelnikov and Graf. This year, who knows? But one thing's for sure, it'll be no stroll in the park. The French Open, extensive live coverage, starting Monday, 11 CET on Eurosport. With the wines of Bordeaux and Café de Colombia.
Lifting the bar at 175 kilos, getting a good clean here. This is Rutowski of Poland. His first attempt. I promise you wouldn't miss anything. And you haven't missed a lift at all. This is the Pole getting on his way. Finished in 6th place in the snatch with 150 kilos. And a little energy going in there to Mark Costa.
Yes, a lot of the lifters like eating bananas, and I think you'll get some energy from there.
That's one of the things I haven't seen around here, Jeffrey. I have not seen a banana in Croatia, so maybe it's a domestic supply. Anyway, now Andrej Kutlik, 20-year-old Slovakian. Kutlik down in 11th place in the snatch, 142.5, so that's behind the 2 British lads, with 175 on the bar.
Yes, a good lift there, but he was working harder than you'd expect for a first attempt. Normally people are quite cautious with their first attempt to make sure they get it. That one, he had to work hard. Look at his face there as he drives up out of that squat. He's working very hard. Comfortably. Another drive to arm's length, and look at those arms shaking as he actually holds the weight at arm's length overhead. Look how red he is in the face. He's making every effort there. There's not too much more left there.
Well, interesting, there's always a bit of neighbourly rivalry between Slovakia and the Czech Republic, and here's the Czech Republic's man, Daniel Bango. We think he was a touch conservative in the snatch. He had 3 good lifts, 147.5 was the total he ended up on. He's coming in at 177.5. So in the private little contest between the Czech Republic and Slovakia, this will give the clean and jerk lead to the Czech, if he does it. Did we have a doubt about that?
I certainly did, but I don't think the referees did. He's got 3 white lights. The weight looked well within his capabilities, but he was a little bit too casual, if anything. Watch him here, you see he's nicely over the bar. It's a very easy clean. He doesn't go all the way down into the deep squat. Drives out of it very nicely. No problems, settles here. Very shallow split there as he just settles the bar. If anything, he was just a little bit too relaxed with it. This is what happens sometimes when lifters take things for granted.
Well, here's a man who can take nothing for granted. 177.5 kilos for 24-year-old Anthony Arthur of Great Britain.
No lift there. Didn't appear to be in the right frame of mind at all, unfortunately. Looks disgusted with himself as he goes back to settle again for his 3rd attempt.
No, he's doesn't seem to be in tune with himself at the moment.
No, he got the bar plenty high enough. He got underneath it.
And he's really in a position, having got into this A category, of really, he should be taking advantage of the 6 lifts. He's quite hoping to join some of the lads at Bisham. Quite an interesting piece of achievement here, or innovation by the British Association, I think, Jeffrey, to get 3 of the lads at Bisham where they're able to concentrate full time on lifting.
It's a great achievement by John Lear and our national coach and Wally Holland, our secretary, to get the finance together to get these men down at Bisham, and they're certainly benefiting from full-time training.
Indeed, they're working there as fitness coaches and earning their keep. I have to say it's a modest keep, but it is enabling them to concentrate and get ready, most of all in their minds, I think, for the Commonwealth Championships.
That's the next big competition they'll be looking towards.
Malaysia, 1998. Now, come on, Anthony.
A lot has been said over the last few years by athletes of all types about positive mental attitude, and that's what we needed there from Anthony Arthur, and he's got it all together for that last left, 3 white lights.
Yeah, it gives him a total of 322.5, which is only 2.5 kilos over Stephen Ward, who finished on 320. So the man from Manchester just edges out the man from Peterborough. But where 322.5 is going to leave him in the overall ranking, I fear it's not going to be in one of those top 6 places, which in simple terms could have been worth another 10 grand. Would have put him into the elite group, and I just think he's going to miss out on this, Jeff. Of course, it could all change if there's a lot of failures, but I think it's unlikely.
It's certainly unlikely at this stage of the competition, I think.
Now, Rutowski, young Pole, 180 kilos on the bar. We've not seen anything of this man in senior competitions, but that was very solid.
Yes, a good lift there. He looks quite pleased with himself. This is the young man who's put on a lot of body weight recently, just left the junior rank, looking to establish himself for the next Olympic cycle.
And Rutowski with 150 and 180 has a running total of 330 at the moment. And now Kutlink. Lick 175, going for 180, so second lift, 5 kilo increase. Again, worth mentioning, as a junior last year, lifted in the 76 kilo category, 152.5 kilos, now 180 kilos, body weight of 82.30, so more than twice his weight. Will very shortly be on his shoulders. Three white. Personal best by 5 kilos.
After the first one, we weren't sure he had much more left in him, but he certainly worked very hard to get that one.
Daniel Bango, Czech Republic.
Drugi pokušaj, 180 kg, Daniel Bango, Czech.
He'll stagger forward, but at the end of the day, the feet are still and they're in line, and the judges are satisfied. Well, back to the Czech Republic now from Slovakia. This is Daniel Bango. Now he opened up on 177.5, did that well enough, but perhaps was a bit casual. He can't afford to muck about now. Now this is quite interesting here because having failed that, he got 177.5 the first time. He got 145, Daniel, 147.5 on the snatch. So he's very close to Anthony Arthur's total, and Arthur is the lighter of the two men. So he could easily gain a place. Costa. Prowling, waiting. Just to quickly doing some maths here on the Rutowski was just in the background there, just waiting. Bango at the moment, 180. Set to follow him. So he's just, by my reckoning, 2.5 kilos ahead of Arthur, who's finished on 322.5. Bango's got 325 safely in the bag because of his first clean and jerk.
This is the man we talked about earlier with the swagger. He looked so self-confident in the first part of the competition, but now in the jerk, he's looking anything but self-confident.
Yes, I think
he's very worried.
Ebbed away a little, or ebbed away a lot. Got plenty of time to do this lift now, but he's gone back to basics here, hasn't he? He's really going through his routine. 30 seconds on the buzzer there.
Man who seemed to have no trouble at all at 177.5, worrying about 180 now. Well, there was a bit of a press out there. Yes, one of the referees spotted it, but he's got it past.
We'll have a look at that in the replay in a moment. 327.5 is finished total.
Yes, a nice clean there. Nice and upright. Finishes off, drives out of that clean strongly. But this is where it all starts to go wrong. As he presses it out to arm's length, it doesn't go there cleanly. The arm unlocks, he has to drive it out a second time.
So, Mishka getting ready, but before him it's going to be Kutlik. 82.30 his body weight, 82.50 Daniel Bango, so Kutlik's already got 180 kilos on the board, but Rutowski only 80 kilos the pole, so he's leading technically in the clean and jerk race at the moment, but that's not really a realistic appraisal of the situation, but this would be very good if you could get 182.5. Remember, the 180 he lifted was a new personal best. This would be a 7.5 kilo improvement. He's going to get it as well.
Yes, a good lift there. An excellent effort. He's put everything into it. You can see how pleased he is with his success there.
Well, that's a nice way to round it off. He's made 5 out of his 6 lifts tonight.
Yes, each one looked harder than the previous one. We doubted whether he was going to make all 6 of them, but he's made 5 out of 6. Not bad at all.
335 running total there for Kutlik. Going to move him up a little bit. He was down in 11th place in the snatch. I think he's going to finish higher as a result of that. And now Rutowski, the light man. Just 80 kilos. We mentioned it in the snatch phase of the competition. It's really tough when you come in 3 kilos underweight to take on the likes of Mark Costa.
Most of these men would have actually reduced body weight in order to make the 83 kilos. It's unlikely and had to reduce at all.
185 on the bar. A total of 335.
It's not there today.
But he's only 20, and I think we have to bear that in mind. He was 4th in the Junior World Championship last year when he totaled 325. And today he's totaled 330. And he'll gain strength. And the poles, they look to have 1 or 2 youthful youngsters coming through. And as you said, this is the beginning of the new Olympic cycle, running up towards those Millennium Games in Sydney.
You can see how his back starts to bend. The weight's just a little bit too much for him there. He's really having to struggle to get out of that. And when you have to work that hard to finish off the clean, then you're at a big disadvantage when it comes to jerking the weight. He tries to settle, but it's too much for him tonight.
And a much better crowd, in fact the best crowd we've had of the championship so far. Plenty of action to come. Remember, we're here for the last 4 categories tomorrow, 91 and 99 kilos, and on Sunday 108, and then live at 3 o'clock Central European time, an hour earlier for those of you in the United Kingdom, the super heavies. And if you're able to join us, you'll be very welcome. Now 195 kilos, first lift coming in here for Seving of Turkey. Now this man has got a bit of ground to make up. He was 2.5 kilos off the pace behind Mishka, Costa and Kofalik. B, where he starts to make his mark. The choir sing their approval. In his time, lifted as much as 207.5 in legitimate competition. Might have done better than that in training, but his PB officially is 207.5, so he's got a little way to go. And he's got to get, I think, to 202.5, something to get himself back in the hunt. Now here's Mishka on the stage, already with 1 gold medal for Russia, the snatch. Also coming in at 195. Mishka lighter than Seving 82.90, just getting inside the 83 kilos. Mishka seriously under at 81.20. Momentarily going to the lead.
197.5 kilograms for the second attempt.
The world record for the clean and jerk, 213.5 kilos, held by Mark Costa in the Atlanta Olympic Games. I'm afraid that wasn't good enough to deny Firos Dimas the overall gold medal. If you're wondering where Dimas is, he's back in Greece, getting ready for the Mediterranean Games. Mentioned a little earlier, he got a fortune for winning his first gold medal, Dimas, in 1992, and the Greek sports ministry rewarded him with an extra $150,000 for his win in Atlanta. But that's a fraction of what he earned when you consider the sponsorship. Mark Costa's also done pretty well, not to the same degree. He's actually looking for a sponsor at the moment, Mark Costa, but he's done an awful lot of private appearances, and he's been very busy, and he's doing quite well. He's one of the few weightlifters in the world who is. It's a hard old game. Now Poland, the magic 200 mark for Kofalik. And he lifted 202.5 in Atlanta, and that was pretty important because it helped him to the bronze medal. Kofalik in 3rd place after the snatch.
That doesn't count as an attempt. He's obviously injured. He can come back any time. The clock's still running. It's only 5 seconds, so he hasn't got time to come back, but he's obviously injured. The fact is, will it stop him coming back for his second and third attempt?
Yeah, that's exactly what the injury is.
It looks to be to his lower right leg, but we've heard nothing.
Well, that's a real disappointment. And we've had quite a few shocks and surprises at these championships. And that's taken quite a bit of pressure off Mark Huster there. Huster will come in for 200, also to start. The clock is already ticking down, but I think the cards are going to be played differently.
He's sitting there quite calmly now, David. I can see the marshals running around. I think that the coaches have changed the poundage.
Well, he prepared to come in for this championship in the belief that he might well be meeting his friend Firas Dimas. Now, he hasn't mucked around with his preparation. He lifted 215 kilos training the other week. His own world record is 213.5. Clearly, if he wants to have a crack at that and do something extravagant to secure the gold medal, he's going to have to start at higher than 200 as a platform.
That's right. I can see that he wants to send a message now. He'll want to send a message all the way to the Mediterranean Games to let Demos know that he's still around.
Actually, the two of them are very good mates. I mean, Mark was down there in January at Firas Dimas' house, and he got spotted by plenty of the Greek fans in the streets there. They know who Mark Huster is in Greece, I can tell you. But I don't think, even if he does win tonight, Mark Huster, I don't think it's going to worry Firas. He's really going to warm up in the Mediterranean, and then he's going to get hot in Thailand. Mishka now, defending champion, mustn't write him off. But compared with Huster, he's got a tough battle. These two men were exactly the same weight after the snatch. Only 9 seconds in which to get this bar moving, Jeffrey. This is getting tight.
The coaches should be watching this.
About as tight as you want to get. He is a man who finds the answers when the chips are down.
He certainly is. You see there, less than 2 seconds on the clock there.
370 kilos the total.
Prepare for the next weight, number 10, Mark Huster, Germany.
So, again, gutsy here from Mishka of Russia. Gives him a running total of 370, which is pretty interesting. That's now 2.5 kilos higher than when he won the title last year. And the clock is counting down for Kokolik. I think in some trouble, and I doubt he's going to come out.
Here's a 30-second buzzer.
So we've had some real ups and downs. We had Yildiz Mehmet injured, having won the snatch gold in the 76 kilos, and unable to continue a little earlier on today. But the cameras are all clustered around Mark Huster at the moment. Being woken up in no uncertain terms there. But
202.5 kilograms.
Huster going to start at 202.5. One thing you've got to say about the Germans, that little team, the coach, the physiotherapist, the team manager, psychologist, they're a very efficient unit.
Yes, they go everywhere together.
Big Frank. Got to say, as a team manager, Frank Mantek's got a pretty decent record of achievement. Footballing terms, he's plenty of time.
Good lift there from Costa. He had to work for it, but it was all there.
Held it perhaps a little longer than he had to there. I was almost saying that one's for me.
205 kilograms.
205 kilograma na útek.
Again, with all the noise around us, we can't really pick up the replay buzzer. But he's on his way now. 10 kilo increase from 195 to 205. So clearly, Seving is prepared to try and mix it with Husta. Husta has got one lift in hand, and still waiting in the wings to take his last lift will be Mishka. Kofilik clearly is going to take no further part. And also we should mention Haidarov of Azerbaijan, having missed 3 snatches, clearly decided at half-time to call it a day. Turkish community are just lined up there waiting for their man. I think he's got an awful lot of work to do, and he's got to have an awful lot of luck on his side. There's in the green shirt going away there, there's the new president of the Turkish Weightlifting Federation, Kenan Newhut. Took over the presidency just 3 months ago, and he's been in attendance at every single lift.
Prepare number 10 for the next weight.
Neka se za sljedeću težinu pripremi Mark Huster, Njemačka.
Mishka, 205 for his third and final lift, which would give him a total, just looking at this here, of 375. Compares quite favourably with last year of 367.5, but probably won't be good enough to earn him the gold. Well, this is going to be the toughest question of the evening for this young man. You didn't believe it, really, did you?
You can see how much work he had to put in to finish that clean off, and although he finished it, there was nothing left there to do the jerk.
370 though, it's an improvement on last year's winning total, but 370 it is. The interesting thing here is that, of course, Durotan Seving has got 205 to go with the 167.5 that he got, and he now has moved into certainly silver medal position because he's got 372.5 at this moment. Costa has actually got also 372.5 as it stands. Seving heavier than Husta. So I have to say the cards are all in Husta's favour as he goes to 207.5. And then remember, he'll still have one more lift. Seving also with one left. Huster's got to get this though, otherwise Semming could really turn it round on him. But it's not over yet. $377.5. He's 5 kilos behind what he lifted in Atlanta. For you, and here's the reply. 210 kilos to give Rutowski a total of 377.5. Just checking this now. Got 167.5, 277.5. This would put him exactly equal with Huster.
But Huster's the lighter man.
Yes, so I don't quite understand this. But perhaps they think that 212.5 is just beyond him.
It looks like 210 was beyond him this evening.
Right, so Dorsan of Turkey, 25 years of age, Ankara, 167.5 is the snatch, and along with that he's got 205, which gives him a running total of 372.5, which secures second place for him, ahead of Mishka, who's pushed down to third, and we already know that Huster has actually won the day, and really the real question now is what Huster's going to go for. And I suspect he might be a bit flamboyant to go for 215. It's a heck of an increase at this level to go from 7.5 kilos up, but 170 in the snatch from Mark Huster, and of course 207.5. Gives him 277.5.
212.5 kilos are loaded. I can just see the marshals now running out. I think they're going to ask for 213.5 for a new world record.
Well, 213.5 would equal it.
In which case you'll have
214 kilos. Attempt for the new world record. Of course, in terms of the competition, only 212.5 will count.
The record, the European record and the world record.
And he can afford to do this. So this is what they've come to see. This is what the crowd have paid their money for. And is Mark Huster going to sign off after a very uncharacteristic snatch?
He's got all the crowd behind him. They think he can do it.
There's Mante.
Ganz ruhig. Wir haben die Zeit weiterlaufen lassen, die Idioten.
15 seconds.
15. 10.
That wasn't bad at all. Bit too much weight, bit too close to the windpipe.
A bit too close to the windpipe, I think. You saw there as the bar went down, his head started to wobble from side to side. He was going faint.
Well, he's won the European Championship, and that was his first objective. And so Mark Costa of Germany gives Germany their first gold medal of the 1997 championship here in Rijeka in Croatia. Would have been a nice touch for him to do this, but maybe at the end of the day he wasn't quite in the sort of shape he might have thought he was.
He's cleaned the bar. He should have been able to jerk it. It's just that bar's very pressing on the windpipe and it's difficult to breathe, and you can see the result. He goes a little bit faint there. Look at him wobbling.
So the medal ceremonies will be up in a moment, but first of all, confirmation in the clean and jerk. Mark Costa, who had to settle for silver in the snatch, gets the gold in the clean and jerk there, 207.5, the light ahead of Dusan Sevic, who missed out on the medals in the snatch, and then Yuri Mishka, who won the gold in the snatch, getting the bronze with a 200 lift. I think he's done as well as any defending champion could have done, given the sort of opposition he had today. It wasn't quite as tough last year, but I think he showed a lot of courage and good lifting there. And then look at Andrej Kutlik, the young Slovakian, coming up into fourth place with an excellent 182.5. Anthony Arthur there ending up in seventh place with that 177.5. Very important, that last lift, staying ahead of Stephen Ward. And we'll get the overall positions for you in a moment here. And while we wait for those, here we are. You can see there, Huster 377.5. That compares with 382.5 in Atlanta. I think if Virastimas had been here, the motivation might have pushed him into a bit of better form. Sevingan Turkey, a second silver that he got in the clean and jerk. And Yuri Mishkovets, the overall bronze this year. And he's done well to stay on the podium there. And Rutowski of Poland, at 20 years of age, to be fourth overall, that is really excellent. And Daniel Bango, also credit to him for finishing in fifth place. That's one slot higher than last year. Anthony Arthur in seventh place. He's going to curse himself, because sixth place would have meant lottery dosh, to put it basically, another 10 grand. And I have to say, that was within his grasp if he'd lifted to potential, Jeff.
Yes, and the same for Stephen Ward. I think that he took a couple of big jumps there of 5 kilos and failed them. He also had an opportunity to go up a couple of places.
So here again, Mark Huster in action. It wasn't, I have to say, a vintage performance, but at the end of the day, he got the job done. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the action here from the Sports Hall in Rijeka. We'll be back tomorrow here on Europe Live. For now, though, from Jeff Platt and myself, David Goldstrom, thanks for choosing to spend your Friday evening with us. I hope you'll join us tomorrow and indeed on Sunday when we get along to the big men. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy your weekend. Bye from Croatia.